Hey guys, RC here, working on another build. Actually, this is part of an ongoing build. I am currently working on a build that encompasses 5 different characters. All are students at the College of Winterhold, but they are each unique in their own way, and they are all NPCs from within the game. They are the ghost from the Labyrinthian quest. Uh, I have done another video for Takes in Light. She was a restoration mage. And this one is for her lover. Let's see, her name is Elvali Veren. Um, I had done the write-up on her, and but after I had finished with the Takes in Light build yesterday and finished writing it up this morning, I went back and I started looking at Elvali and one of the other characters, and I decided to make some changes to them. Originally, Elvali was going to be a destruction mage focusing on the fire tree, and I decided I did not want 2 destruction mages with their only variants being the spells that they used, one being fire, one being frost. So what I decided is I needed an alteration mage, an alteration master. Now, the alteration spells won't come into play for a little while in the build, because really the only spells that are of use to us outside of the mage armor spells are things like Ash Shell and Paralyze, which are defensive spells to paralyze or freeze an enemy, and those will be helpful, especially when you're facing, 2, 3, 4 creatures or enemies. So, we're going to have to go with the destruction, but I decided to toss in a little conjuration as well. Um, Not going all the way to expert or master level, probably limiting down to the fire Atronach and the frost Atronach. But right now, here in the early going, I'm at level 8, you can see. And let's kind of take a look at our skills. Uh, I am going to use archery because one of our spells in the conjuration tree will be the bound bow. So we're going to take a few points in the archery tree. We are going to be using Conjuration, and you can see I have Novice and Apprentice as well as Mystic Binding for the bound weapon damage currently. Destruction, we have taken Novice and dual casting to power that, the basic Novice spells up, and probably the next one will be the Augmented Flames. I don't know how far up this tree I will go. I think I'm going to stay away from runes in this build because I did use them in another build. So I think I'm going to stay away from runes in this one. So right now we're just going to, we have our flame spells. We do have the ability to dual cast if we want. But again, conjuration, we do have, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Restoration, I have not taken any points yet, but I have leveled it up a little bit. And alteration, we have taken the first level. So if we take a quick look at what we've got our Oak Flesh spell, and you may notice that it's lasting for a full day. I do use a magic balancing mod to it's basically it's invested magic where it takes, you can see here in the description, it reduces your magicka by 50 points or 25 with Novice Alteration. So basically, if you have 200 magicka and you cast this spell, you have 175 magicka, and the spell's in place for 24 hours. Um, the one thing about those mage armor spells, they're a pain to have to reapply every 30 seconds or 60 seconds. That's ridiculous. So this really is something I like with those, but it does take the magicka to power it. So, it's not like you're getting it and then you're getting all your magicka back. So let's see, we have that. We have some robes that we got from the College of Winterhold, a little bit of extra magicka from the hood. I don't, oh, so that's the spell reduction and the magicka regeneration. Fire resistance from our race, and we are currently using the mage stone. So here's my hotkey and my favorites list, and this is another mod that I really like how it lays it out. And you'll notice that these, watch this, well, let's put candlelight in there instead. Now, well, you can see flames gets added back, and now candlelight is gone. So anything you favorite will show up in the list: weapons, apparel, magic spells, shouts, everything else. And then once you hotkey them, they're down here and they disappear from the list. So I really like that. So we've got our first 5 buttons hotkeyed: flames, firebolt, conjure familiar, bound sword, and a healing spell. The reason I don't have oak flesh hotkeyed, it's a once a day casting. So I just want it there so it's easy to get to. My shout, which we're not going to have shouts in the build because these are not dragonborn characters. This is her racial ability, and unsummon is the conjuration spell to get rid of your summoned creature. And this is a mod that I use, Skyfall Estates, where you can teleport directly to your house, which, when you're either leveling, power leveling, even just playing it, getting out of a dungeon or getting from the very end of the quest, if you're overloaded, you can just teleport back, and then you only have to deal with the weight encumbrance for a short time as you unload things at your house. Plus, it has a built-in merchant, which just makes it easy. So from a building perspective, it does cut down on a lot of the minutia and the monotony that are outside of the actual build. So how is this going to play? Well, here you can see I've currently got Bound Sword and Conjure Familiar. I am going to use, now we're not going to sneak a lot, but we are going to sneak some just to set up attacks. So we're going to start with casting. I immediately switch to a flame spell. So, basically just to wrap that up, it's kind of hard to talk and think and mash all my buttons at one time. Uh, so we started off with casting from back here. We cast our familiar right up into the fray, got the attention of the 2 bandits, and then I immediately switched from the conjuring in my left hand. So again, this is bound sword in my right hand. So we switched from conjure familiar in the left hand to flames, okay, which is that spell. Then we ran up into range, we toasted a little bit, and then we tried to finish him off with our bound sword. So we're getting some conjuration from our familiar. We're getting some conjuration boost from our bound sword and attacking with it. We are getting some destruction with our flame spell. And if they do attack us, then of course you can kind of see the bluish green glow on our clothes there. We have our mage armor spell, so we would raise our alteration as well. So the premise of this character is she is going to be an Alteration Master. Let's flip over to did I lose that? Here it is. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Oh, I must not have saved it. Oh well. Anyway, let's go back to the game then, and we'll kind of go through it here. So, alteration is going to be the primary skill. We'll be going all the way, we'll be taking every ability in the alteration tree all the way up to master. We will be taking Conjuration and let's see, I've got my worksheet here in front of me somewhere. All right, Restoration, we're going to be going only up to Adept. Uh, yeah, we'll go up to Adept if we feel the need. I may cut that off at Apprentice during the playthrough. We will take Recovery for the Magicka regeneration. And are we taking anything else there? Yeah, we're also going to take Regeneration, which is for the bump to the healing. That's as far as we're going to go because again, she's an alteration master, but they can have some skill in other trees, but we don't want to go real far up those. Destruction and conjuration are going to be conjuration primarily is going to be the primary skill. On these, we're going to go up to, I'm speculating up to expert. Actually, on destruction, I think we're going to stop at adept as well. So we'll stop there. That'll get us, the rune spells. And if I don't think I need those, I may stop at apprentice and just use firebolt. We are going to take augmented flames. And the reason I don't think we'll need that is because just like in combat where I launched my familiar right into the fray, we can do the same thing with conjure the fire Atronach and the frost Atronach. Now we won't be able to get the shock Atronach because we won't be going that far up the tree. Again, they're not an expert or a master at that. They just have some ability. So we took Mystic Binding for the bound weapons to do more damage. Apprentice Conjuration. And I think we'll probably go up to Adept here because what we want to get in Adept is actually that's in Alteration that I'm thinking about. Well, we want to go to Adept to get the two Atronach spells. We may end up going up to Expert. Again, I'm just going to have to kind of see how the play goes. We're going to stay away from the necromancy part of the tree, but we will go up to summoner, atromancy, and potency, but we're going to stay away from master of souls. So we are not going to be a master, and I may stay away from that as well. Again, I'll have to see how the playthrough develops. I don't want the playthrough to be too easy, but I don't want it to be too hard either. And being that she's the Alteration Master, there's nothing offensive outside of the only thing that we're going to have in here when we get up to the master level is at the adept level we'll be able to use Ash Shell, and that'll be something we can use as crowd control while we fight. And telekinesis, there are some things that are about telekinesis that you can throw items and objects at your enemy. Certainly something you could mix into your gameplay. I'm not sure how viable that is. I am going to go back in and read it. I think one of my friends Relics did a posting on how that works. So I'm going to kind of look at it, but we'll see. And then when we get up to expert, then we get paralysis, which again, crowd control, and then mass paralysis at master. Also here we get dragon hide, which boosts, if we need that. I don't think you will, but it is. We do want to get that for the mass paralysis as well. And at that point, our bound weapon. And the other thing I need to decide on conjuration, I am kind of liking the sword at this point. I was contemplating going in the direction of archery and using the bound bow. So I had already done some training with in Riverwood with Faendal. But the more I'm playing this right now, I may want to come and go into the one-handed tree. The only other thing about that would be is instead of casting, if we go with one-handed, I'm sorry, if we go with archery, maybe when I get the bound bow spell, I will want to, instead of casting into the mix, unless it's with my frost atronach, I may want to cast my fire atronach before combat, have it standing next to me, and then hit them from range. And then as they come in, the flame atronach will back away to try to maintain some range. At that point, I could switch into destruction spells, which will take more advantage of my mage armor in the um, alteration tree. So a few things I'm still thinking about and tossing ideas around. Um, this was my first thought, but now I'm kind of thinking I may want to go here. What I might do is go ahead once I get the bound bow, is get it, see how that combat style works, and if it works fine, then go with it. If it doesn't, then I may pull these perks and start moving them over into the one-handed tree. So anyway, that is a quick nutshell look at our build. Um, I've done a lot of researching and wiki browsing, trying to kind of piece together what I want to do, how I want it to work. Now it's a matter of doing the playthrough, and right now I'm doing a power level just to kind of get some gear and just try a few things and see how they flow, such as the archery or the bound bow or the bound sword. And then we'll go from that route, and then we do a second playthrough typically, and then once, kind of going through the routine with, what I've tested in the first playthrough, and, then see where we go from there. Well, anyway, thanks for checking this one out. This is going to be the third part of this 5-piece build and the build itself is a work in progress. If we come over to the vault where I post my builds at, it is under Cinq Amis Savos, which is French for the 5 friends of Savos, and so it's here for you to look at. As I said, I finished Gerduin, and I have finished Takes in Light here. That's why they're in different colors for right now. This is a work in progress as well. So has not been posted officially yet, but it can be read over in the workshop. Um, Currently working on Elvali, and I've got a lot done on Hafnar. Um, he's going to be pretty easy because, I mean, we've all played probably 1,000,001 straight destruction mages, so he's going to be pretty easy. In fact, probably what I'll do is I will just pull up one of my old saves, high level, saves that's a destruction mage, and then, add a few weapons. I was thinking about Chilrend. If I want him to use a weapon, I may or may not. And then Atma, she's going to be a jack of all trades, pretty much good at everything because she becomes the archmage in our world of this build. And so anyway, hey, thanks for checking it out. Stay tuned for when the build makes its final, official debut in the character build section. But check out a lot of the other builds. In fact, just a mention, a lot of if you're familiar with the Vault, they changed websites from Ning to what I don't know what this new one's called. But Noodles and Shinjin are currently working and porting over a lot of the legendary and mythic builds from the Hall of Fame and things of that nature. So check those out because those are expanding back here at the Vault where they need to be. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time.